I've lived in this forest all my life. And if there's one thing I've learned, it's that a ranger must never miss.
Should you main the ranger? I set out to explore this question, and fortunately, after the recent reveal stream, the devs have given us plenty to sink our teeth into, and let me tell you folks, this evolution of the ranger class from PoE 1 to PoE 2 is nothing short of spectacular. Today we're diving into her unparalleled mobility, her arsenal of skills, the intricate support gem system that's got everyone so excited, and this lets you fine-tune her abilities to perfection. And speaking of fine-tuning, let's not forget the 2 Ascendancies that she'll be dropping with. By the end, you'll understand why the Ranger is shaping up to be one of the most versatile and dynamic classes, and some of the uniques that are confirmed to be in the game, along with one of the passive keystones that I've managed to get a screenshot of. Now, with that being said, let's get into it. The Ranger's hallmark is her fluidity in combat, movement meeting precision, and unlike many classes, the Ranger can shoot while moving, giving her a significant edge on the battlefield. Basic arrow skills can be fired on the go, albeit with a slight movement penalty, allowing her to reposition while raining death upon her enemies, and this mechanic transforms her into a relentless force, keeping foes at bay while maintaining constant pressure. But the mobility doesn't stop there. No, the Ranger boasts of an array of vaulting and escape skills, perfect for staying one step ahead of danger. One standout ability that we've seen is Frost Escape, a skill that allows you to leap backward while shooting a freezing arrow at the ground, and this maneuver not only creates distance from enemies but also freezes them, buying time for follow-up attacks or an advantageous reposition. Meanwhile, Lightning Rod showcases the Ranger's potential for area control. This skill plants rods in the ground that attract devastating lightning strikes, chaining damage between multiple enemies. Supporting it with gems like Chain Support amplifies its impact, turning it into an electrifying tool for dispatching groups of enemies or pressuring single targets. Whilst we're on the topic of electricity, another highlight is Electrocuting Arrow, which builds up a stacking electrocute gauge on enemies as you attack. When the gauge fills, enemies are stunned and take massive burst damage, making this skill particularly effective against bosses and durable enemies. Enhancing it with support gems like Shock Proliferation ensures that the effects spread to nearby foes for devastating crowd control. The Ranger's arsenal is a real symphony of skills, and the deeper we dig, the more impressive it gets. The Ranger's toolkit is as diverse as it is powerful, catering to every playstyle from precise elemental builds to deadly poisons and traps. For example, there are a slew of elemental skills, starting off with Lightning Arrow, the quintessential AoE skill which we are all so familiar with. This ability fires an arrow that unleashes electrical arcs between enemies. With gems like multiple projectiles or fork support, you can transform a single shot into a cascading storm of lightning. It looks absolutely awesome. Stormcaller arrows, a tactical choice for players who prefer delayed but devastating strikes. This arrow summons a powerful bolt of lightning from the sky. Supporting it with gems like less duration reduces the delay, allowing for quicker strikes against fast-moving targets. Freezing the battlefield with things like Frost Escape, both a mobility tool and a crowd control skill. This freezes enemies in its wake. Support it with gems like Chilled Ground to extend the slowing effect, and supplement it with attacks like Cold Barrage, a focused ice attack that deals increased damage to single targets. Pair it with critical strike support for massive spikes of burst damage against bosses. Moving on to poison skills, there's Gas Cloud Arrow, a tactical skill that creates a lingering poison cloud in the targeted area. Pair it with area of effect support to expand the poison radius, or use Trigger on Death to unleash explosive results. Vine Arrows, this is a very unique ability that summons plants that root enemies in place while applying a stacking poison debuff. Once the debuff reaches its maximum stacks, it transfers to enemies, causing enormous bursts of poison damage. Very cool. Combine this with Poison Bloom support to spread the stacks across groups for more AoE yummy deliciousness. We of course have explosive arrow, which fires volatile shots that trigger an area of explosion when detonated, and it can be devastating when using it in synergy with gas cloud arrow, because you can create, and this is awesome, a chained reaction of poison and fire damage, which looks fantastic and just looks great to use as well. Maximizing your use of elemental effects is also really great when you start taking into consideration skills like Snipe. Snipe is a charged skill shot that requires precision and timing, and when you release Snipe at the right moment, it's a guaranteed critical strike to its target, dealing massive single target damage and a small AoE burst. This makes it an excellent finisher, as previously mentioned, and particularly good against clusters of enemies immobilized by things like Frost Escape. If you use this skill to get out of range and disable your enemy and then charge up and release Snipe when they're locked in place, this allows you to maximize the damage potential of both skills whilst keeping yourself at a safe distance. And speaking of impressive synergies, this one really caught my eye. The classic and infamous Rain of Arrows, a classic AoE from PoE 1 with some really nice synergies described here. Rain of Arrows is a ranger skill that's simple yet versatile, and when used, the ranger fires a volley of arrows into the air that rain down over a targeted area, dealing decent AoE damage at long range. Now, frenzy charges are a core mechanic, providing boosts to attack speed and skill functionality across various abilities, and in the case of Rain of Arrows, frenzy charges extend the skill's duration, allowing it to sustain longer on the battlefield. Frenzy charges are generated using the skill Sniper's Mark, a debuff that you apply to enemies that then grants frenzy charges when they are critically hit. This pairs perfectly with Snipe because it is a guaranteed critical hit when used. So if you start by marking an enemy with Sniper's Mark and then following it up with a Snipe to trigger a critical hit and generate a frenzy charge instantaneously, this setup then ensures that your next Rain of Arrows benefits from extended durations provided by the frenzy charge. So this is therefore going to maximize the Rain of Arrow damage output and its duration. The Corrode Armor support gem allows Corrode Armor to be applied via gas cloud arrows, a support skill that creates an area where poison erodes the armor of affected enemies over time. As their armor is reduced, so too are their defenses against physical damage, and that means significant boost to skills like Rain of Arrow that rely on physical damage. So you can see where I'm going with this. You get your frenzy charges up, you put your Rain of Arrows down for that extended duration, and you make sure that they are debuffed with the corroded armor, so you are getting maximum efficiency out of your skills. I've had a dig around and found a list of some of the uniques that lucky play testers have found and shared, and I thought I'd highlight a handful of them that stand out for ranger use. The Widowhail Crude Bow has made its return and gives us up to 250% increased bonuses gained from the equipped quiver, which paired really nicely with the Poised Prism in PoE 1, giving us insane resistances and increased elemental damage per 10 points of dex, strength or intellect respectively. I've no doubt that they're going to be reintroducing some similar quivers in this version of the game, so that's going to be exciting, folks. Kitoko's Current, the Jeweled Gloves, gives us 35% increased energy shield, 19 to dexterity, a 12% reduction in attack and cast speed, but this is offset by lightning damage from hits, also contributing to electrocute buildup. And the next is a ranger fan favorite, and this was always a staple in any ranger leveling process, the Quill Rain Shortbow. This is always great fun to use with Toxic Volley in PoE, and I'm sure combining it with Rain of Arrows in PoE 2 is going to be the way to go. It gives you 100% increased attack speed, 10 to 20 increased dex, 50 to 100% increased arrow speed, and 40% less attack damage. With that in mind, as I mentioned before, here is a quick breakdown of a couple of the skills and the chain of support gems that you can include to bolster these items and your builds in general. As always, I'm always interested in your thoughts, folks, so if you've got any suggestions or ideas that are coming to you about this class, please do sound off in the comments below. In terms of Quill Rain, Rain of Arrows will be an obvious choice as it's so similar to Toxic Rain. We've already seen the devs highlight that this skill consumes any available frenzy charges to fire more arrows, and that's a really cool little synergy that they've shown there. You could boost this by using faster attacks. This means supported skills have 25% more attack speed, faster projectiles. Supported skills have 30% increased projectile speed, more duration, so the skill effect lasts longer, and of course, area of effect, so the area of effect being larger. This is not just limited to these folks. These are just the ones that I could find off the top of my head, and it's been a while since I've played Path of Exile 1, so I am going off my memory there. And as I mentioned Kotoko's gloves earlier with the electrocute build-up, I thought the lightning arrow skill, which we saw showcased in the dev stream, would work brilliantly with this. You could socket this along with lightning penetration to ensure that we penetrate lightning resistance more, following that with more increased lightning damage because, well, more lightning damage is great. And then of course chain, this is always absolutely goated, and we've seen the devs use this in streams for various skills as well. It does reduce the damage the supported skill does by 50% with the hits that it makes, but that is more than made up for the pure attack speed and just throughput that we have with everything else combined together. We also have pierce, projectiles from supported skills, pierce an additional 1 target, so it continues to just create an absolute tempest of lightning damage. And finally, elemental focus. Now this one's an interesting one, and maybe you can help me out, folks. As I've just said, it's been a little while since I played PoE 1. How would this interaction work? Because this elemental focus gem obviously does more elemental damage but prevents inflicting ailments. Would that interrupt the electrocute build-up, even though it's the item that is giving us that electrocute build-up? Sound off in the comments below and let us know, folks. As you progress, you will unlock powerful Ascendancy options to further refine and enhance your build, and they're dropping each class with 2. The rangers are Deadeye and Pathfinder. Deadeye is a ranged powerhouse focusing on accuracy and speed. This is probably the way I would go, folks. Skills like endless munitions grant additional projectiles, while Eagle Eyes ensures you'll never miss a shot. That means that you won't need to waste your time on those passive accuracy nodes. Deadeye's playstyle is about precision, turning every arrow into a critical hit. Lovely. With that being said, you can flip things on its head a little bit with some of the passive keystones, such as Precise Technique, which is making another comeback from PoE 1. You do 40% more attack damage if your accuracy rating is higher than your maximum life, but you never deal critical strikes. This is really punchy with things like Lightning Arrow. Pathfinder, on the other hand, makes you a master of poison and utility. It excels at flask management and stacking poison damage. Skills like Alchemical Admixture convert your flask effects into devastating area attacks, whilst Toxic Burst doubles your poison output. Each Ascendancy is going to bring a unique identity to your ranger, offering distinct strengths and synergies. And of course, we have a mount. It looks like a chocobo out of the Final Fantasy series, but it's not, folks. It's a rower. You can fire whilst navigating the map on your rower without any movement penalty, maintaining your mobility fully. Dismounting will allow the rower to fight by your side, providing additional damage and utility. However, do make sure that you don't get hit, because if you do, you will be stunned, leaving you vulnerable. If you're looking for a comprehensive breakdown of the witch class, check out this next video. It's got you covered. Take care of yourselves, keep having fun, sound off in the comments below with any thoughts about what class you're going to pick, and I'll see you in the next one.